I've been wanting to make this video for a long time. This is a behind the scenes look at one of my favorite documentary projects that I've ever done about Nashville-based musician Ryan Kinder as he writes his second full-length country rock album while training for the Ironman World Championship. Let's dive in.
Losers and winners and a whole lot I don't know what's called. The apple don't fall too far from the pie.
I love his guitar playing, and I love that voice. He's a voice that deserves to be heard.
And I was immediately taken by his talent, his voice.
Well, I just love the sound of his voice. I mean, it's a different voice than anyone else has.
Everybody's gonna know my story.
To lose your publishing deal or to lose your record deal is gut-wrenching. They're telling you that you can't be successful. People are constantly saying, how is he not huge? How does everybody not know Ryan Kinder's name?
That was pretty cool. That felt awesome.
This project was crazy. I initially had heard about Ryan through a podcast and reached out to him. I'd never met him. I loved his music. I thought his story about doing Ironman triathlons while recording music was something that I resonated with. I think it takes a lot of grit and determination to make it in the music industry. I am a songwriter and musician, studied music, minored music in college, and never got a chance to pursue my dreams. And one of the things I love most about filmmaking is I can pursue someone else's dreams and document it through my camera and live their lifestyle for a little bit.
So the porta potties are 1,000,000 miles long, and since I would do this on the run anyway, just pee.
So I was sleeping on the floor of recording studios. I was spending all hours of the day around musicians, talking music, and feeling like I could be a part of it without having to be a very successful musician myself.
So I'm in Montreal filming this week, and we're filming in this professional recording studio, and I'm sleeping on the floor. It's 12:30 in the morning, and I was looking around, and I thought I should take advantage of these instruments I have around me. So I wrote this song. I'm not the best piano player, and it's kind of a new song, so we'll see how this goes.
So this project was so much fun to make, but before we dive into all of the joys of the filmmaking process, let's take it back into the beginning of this project. After meeting Ryan Kinder for the first time in person, I went to one of his shows that night. He was playing a Christmas concert in Nashville, and he was performing, and there was kind of like this cocktail lounge sort of vibe, and went up on stage and started singing, and the whole room fell quiet when Ryan started singing.
Cause I got a heart inside, until the day I die, I'll still believe in crazy love. Whoa, 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 I still believe in crazy love.
It was like chills went across the entire room. Everyone was just stunned by his voice and his talent, and as was I. And I couldn't imagine that this guy that was up on stage was soon going to become one of my best friends and somebody who I got to follow along through one of the craziest years of his life. After that initial meeting, we actually first met up to film together in Montreal, where he was recording his album.
How are you feeling about getting the album recorded?
Pretty excited. Very excited. It's been a long time coming.
This was one of the coolest filming experiences I had ever done. I come from the adventure filmmaking background and film a lot of skiing and rock climbing and surfing, and so being in a comfortable room temperature recording studio where I was setting up lights and trying to figure out how to capture the music in the best way possible was a really interesting challenge.
Just out here trying to bring you a little peace, loving you.
4-1, that's it. All right, let's hit the 4 and the 1.
I had never filmed music videos before, and so this whole world felt a little bit new, but I was so excited to like flex my skill set that I had learned through all of the years of making adventure films and putting it into this music documentary. And these days in the recording studio in Montreal were long. We would get up in the morning, Ryan would swim, I would film him a little bit, and we would head to the recording studio where we would spend every day well over 12 hours.
Having that string squeak too.
It is inspiring to watch, especially like a 24-hour ride too, you know?
Watching their stamina as musicians was incredibly impressive. Being in Montreal together was really cool from the music side, but it was also really fun to get to know Ryan on a more personal level. Seeing his humble nature when it came to raising money for the Ironman Foundation, doing work with children, or for Kinder's Kids, his own nonprofit where he helps children that are affected by natural disasters.
It would make life feel so good.
It seemed like this guy's entire life was dedicated to service, and his amazing talent as a musician or his athletic prowess seemed to be a very small part of who he actually was, despite what I had known him for initially. This was also the time where I got to know Ryan's band and his producer, especially Luke Sheets, who, if Ryan isn't my favorite person on the earth, then Luke Sheets is a close second.
Sheets, once you're done practicing that, I was curious if we could go through the song and we could put time markers at, like for me, just say like, 1 minute and 20 seconds, there's a banjo solo. So then I know at 1 minute and 20 seconds I need to be over there. Because we're gonna try to do it all in one take.
Yeah. Because Luke is amazing and has done so much for Ryan in his career, both as a producer but also just as a friend. And watching their friendships unfold through the process of this documentary was so much fun, and I feel so grateful to be welcomed into this community of musicians and talented individuals in Nashville. Once we finished filming in Montreal in February, we took a break for a little bit.
We're done.
7 songs.
7 days.
20 boxes of Cadbury eggs.
I ate so much chocolate.
That's
Ryan
Joe
sang
Louis.
so many songs.
And the behind the scenes crew.
Yeah, you guys
actually
can
in the
come
scene
on.
crew too. Hey! Producer, Luke Sheets. Producer, Kim Pressé.
As these longer documentary projects happen, sometimes you need to let life unfold a little bit. I was following Ryan as he was training for the Ironman World Championship in the fall, and in order to complete an Ironman, you have to do a lot of training, and all of that training every single day doesn't need to be documented, and so every once in a while, I would kind of fly back in and check in with Ryan's life, and then fly out again. Where that proved to be really interesting is Ryan had a lot of very exciting life events that happened while I wasn't with him in Nashville filming all the time. About halfway through his training block for the Chattanooga half Ironman, in preparation for the bigger Ironman in the fall, Ryan broke his collarbone snowboarding out west. It is an incredibly painful injury. I've broken my collarbone surfing, and it doesn't really allow you to continue training for an Ironman, as you have to be swimming, biking, and running, all things that can be really painful on a collarbone. As his wife Heather says in the documentary, she's never heard him sing any notes as high as he did the night after he broke his collarbone. He'd gone out west for a performance, broke his collarbone that day, and still performed that night. And I think the drugs made him sing a little higher, but pretty amazing to see the resilience of this guy push through to share his music with other people. Then, because of how schedules lined up, I was unable to go to Nashville in person to film Ryan going through physical therapy, so we hired a local videographer to follow him just for a day of physical therapy and going to doctor's appointments so we could capture some footage while I wasn't physically present. A lot of the documentaries that I do all by myself. I film, I photograph, I edit, I take on all of the director responsibilities, all of the producing responsibilities, and it's really fun to do that, but this project was so big that I felt like I couldn't do it all alone, so I had to bring in people in various stages of the process to help get the project across the finish line. Thankfully, Ryan was diligent with his exercises and ended up competing in the Chattanooga Half Ironman.
This is a little different than last year, kind of like it. So we'll come out of the water, everybody runs along the boardwalk there and up into transition, and I guess that is what they used to call the stripper area, a wetsuit stripper. That's exactly what you want to hear after you break your collarbone. There's extra mileage on the swim.
Cool. I'm gonna get some video of you too.
I'm not getting in though.
That's fun. Just like walking out to the river, like looking out, being like, oh, thinking through life and stuff.
How's the rip?
Do you feel?
Getting nervous. Getting nervous.
Somehow, miraculously finished. The Chattanooga Half Ironman was a really fun experience for me personally because it was the first Ironman that I had ever filmed. I probably ran 7 or 8 miles of the course throughout the day to capture Ryan on his adventure in the triathlon. Thankfully, I'm an athlete myself, and that allowed me to cover a lot of the areas of the courses, and it was pretty fun to run with Ryan as he was kind of struggling in those last few miles. The difference between us is Ryan had already completed a 56-mile bike ride and a 1.2-mile swim and was on mile 10 of a half marathon, and I was about 5 miles in running with a gimbal. So he was definitely in a lot worse shape than I was, but it was fun to cross the finish line together, getting that hero shot of him finishing the Ironman. And at this point, we were still only halfway through the project. Ryan had a lot of training to do in order to complete the Ironman World Championship, and I wasn't gonna be there for all of it. And in yet another crazy turn of events, Ryan got hit by a car while on a training accident, and that put him in the hospital with some serious injuries. Once again, his training was set back, and he was filming some phone videos while he was injured. And when I was in Nashville with him another time for filming, we kind of staged this fake accident to kind of communicate the seriousness of what had gone through while he was on a training ride. But it was pretty intense to see Ryan, who at this point was a really good friend of mine, go through all of these really intense experiences while his eyes are still on the bigger goal of completing the Ironman. And even though he's physically not his best, he still has to be recording music this whole time. He's still in the studio with his producer at home, finishing up the album, recording songs, creating singles, and working as a full-time professional musician in Nashville.
It's DIY recording, I guess. This is Heather's closet. This is RK Cribs. MTV RK Cribs. Oh, look at this. Oh.
He's going on tour, he's doing training rides all over the place. He was living quite a full life during the process of filming this documentary. So for me personally, to go in and out of his life was always really exciting because we got to catch up every 1 or 2 months to hear what we were all up to. It was a pretty fun and exciting way for a friendship to form. Eventually, as you hopefully have seen in the documentary by now, if you haven't seen it, it's here live on YouTube. You can watch it for free, 16 minutes of some very fun adventures. As you'll see in the documentary, if you haven't already seen it, Ryan made a recovery from those injuries and competed in the Ironman World Championship in Hawaii.
But it's not E minor or like ukulele. Yeah. It's 5/6 time. Yeah. That's all. Sounds great, man. Yeah.
People think triathletes shave their face and arms and legs because it makes them faster. It's actually just because we think it makes us faster.
I went to Kona, Hawaii in fall of 2022. Ryan and I sort of just bopped around Hawaii for the few days before the race. I filmed him biking on the road in his uniform that he was going to be wearing for the race day, so we could sort of overlay some of that footage rather than being on the race course itself, because 112 miles is pretty far to cover if you're just one person. So we had to stage a few things to make it seem a little bit more filled out than all the footage I could get on race day, because we were very limited on where we could be and what we could film.
Dude, sick jersey.
That's pretty dope.
That's so good.
One of my favorite stories from Hawaii is Ryan and I went out at sunset to capture some footage of him and sort of had to hobble in through this rocky volcanic bay, and we're sitting out there at sunset. Ryan was stretching, the light was beautiful, and it was a really fun opportunity to reflect on all the incredibly intense but incredibly life-giving moments that we had shared together. doing the Chattanooga half Ironman experience, being in the recording studio in Montreal in February, being in Nashville with him and his friends, staying at his house, sleeping in his guest bedroom. Since then, Ryan has come to Boulder and slept in my guest bedroom. We've filmed music videos now together in Boulder. I've flown back to Montreal to film him doing acoustic versions of some of his other songs. We have really become great friends, and being in Hawaii with him and seeing all of his training and all of his hard work begin to pay off was such a rewarding experience for me as his friend and as the filmmaker for this project. Then once the race was over, it was time to edit the film. I was really overwhelmed by the filming process, and fall is typically my most busy time of year as a filmmaker, and I couldn't juggle the massive amounts of editing I needed to do for the Keep Up documentary with Ryan Kinder and all of my other projects. So I hired one of my good friends, Alex, to step in and help me with the edit, where I would join in Alex's bedroom and sit over his shoulder and Alex would edit. And as we'd sit in that room, looking at the storyboard, looking at the creative brief I made and kind of the outline I expected, Alex was doing a great job of doing some of the storytelling work as well, piecing it together, and we submitted it to Outside TV and it was distributed on Outside TV. We ended up premiering it at the Nashville Film Festival, which unfortunately Ryan and I couldn't even go to, but it was really fun to see photos of the audience enjoying the film festival. Then when I had a little bit more time and energy to jump back into the project after the premiere had happened in Nashville, I opened up the Adobe Premiere project and added in a montage scene showing Ryan's physical training, his musical training, and showcasing a little bit of one of my favorite songs of Ryan that we could feature in the documentary. Overall, it was an incredibly rewarding experience. And filmmaking for me all comes down to the stories that we share. And I think really good storytelling can have a transformative effect on how we see the world. And going through interviews and interviewing the head of Warner Music at the time and asking the head of Warner Music why he dropped Ryan. You were sent the questions ahead of time, correct? Okay, cool. I'll have them here. If there's anything you're like, I'm not comfortable answering that, just let me know. Totally fine. We're really just trying to piece together Ryan's history of his music career, and Warner was a big part of that, so we kind of want to celebrate the time that he was here, while he was here. So my childhood musician in me was so excited to be around this industry and in this culture. But the stories that we share can have a transformative effect on people. It's been clear that a lot of people are really resonating with Ryan's story and hearing more about who he is as a person, and that Ryan's success doesn't come from his time in the Ironman World Championship or his streaming numbers on Spotify. Ryan's real success comes in who he is as a person, and he is the most kind and amazing friend I could ever ask for, and genuinely cares about every person that crosses his path. And I hope that comes through in the film, because that's truly who he is as a person. And watching him go through his life during the year of filming this, it was so clear to me that no matter what Ryan was going through, good or bad, he was always showing up and being the best person he could be. And hopefully when you watch the documentary, you'll walk away with some feelings of excitement and joy and all of these warm feelings that come with watching a really fun and entertaining piece, but also thinking through, how can I be like Ryan? How can I be a more humble, more kind, more empathetic person? Because I think that is what made this project so special. And so regardless of the camera settings or the lights I used or the editing software I used, this film taught me that being a great person is the best kind of success you can have.